Ain't got no boundaries to hold me back. Boundaries is what I lack. Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Conflation Station. Hop on board the next train out, and let's take a ride to a place where anything's possible.
Hello and welcome to the Conflation Station. My name is Hugo Yorway and I'll be your tour guide for today's podcast, including political commentary, conspiracy theories, and some cool music from the Electric Glove Orchestra. At the Conflation Station, our team of creative writers and novice journalists combine elements of irony, satire, and pure absurdity to create insightful political commentary and homespun conflated conspiracy theories taken from today's news headlines. In the first segment of our show, known as the 14th Circuit, or what I like to call the Court of Public Opinion, renowned raconteur, the Reverend Rusty Stubblefield, shares his unfiltered and unhinged views about America's constitutional crisis. His topic this week is dissent. Rusty, the microphone is all yours.
Well, thank you, Hugo. In these here United States, people loves to complain. They complain about the weather, the high price of food and gas, their alimony payments, their commuting time to work, their bosses at work, waiting in line for service at the checkout counter, their phone bills, their electric bills. Shit, they complain just about everything and anything, don't they? You see, I think the reason why they complain so much is because in this here US of A, complaining is a constitutionally protected right. There goes that First Amendment off to the races again. In case you forgot, let me remind you what that there First Amendment says, and I quote, "The government shall make no laws abridging freedom of speech, and that y'all and me have the right, quote, to petition the government for a redress of grievances," end quote. Now, how's that for stating it plain and simple? Complaining in these here United States is as American as apple pie. It's spelled out right there in that good old Constitution. Now, speaking of apple pie, I enjoy a nice piece of apple pie once in a while, don't you? There's so many different types of apple pies to choose from these days. Different crusts, different types of apples. They's even got these apples called Cosmic Crisps. You think those wig-wearing founding fathers ever ate a Cosmic Crisp apple? Hell no. Back then, they's just apples. Some people like apple pie with a slice of cheese on top, all warmed up like it just came out of the oven. And other folks like they's apple pie topped with some ice cream. They's call that pie a la mode. For me, that pie a la mode French bullshit is a little un-American. Do you agree? There's so many tasty pies out there, but you won't catch me eating one of them Boston cream pies. You know, the pie that was invented by those liberal anarchists up there in New England. Pardon me, I digress. Now, while I've got you on the line and we's talking about those anarchists in New England, 'twasn't it them Bostonians who disguised themselves as Indians to complain about the King of England placing a tax on tea? Wasn't it New Englanders who was among the first Americans to fight back against the government because they thought they wasn't being treated fairly? They call that little soiree in the harbor, pardon my French again, the Boston Tea Party. And if I remember correctly what they taught me in grade school, the issue right there was people complaining about being taxed by the King of England without them colonies having no representation in the British Parliament. Well, there you have it. Our good old forefathers, just like apple pie, complaining to the government for redress of their own grievances. Now, at that time, these Bostonians had some pretty strong opinions about the way the King of England was running the show, and they had no compunction about making these opinions be known. Now, I'm talking about some heavy-hitting motherfucking patriots right here. You know, your Paul Revere's, your John Hancocks, your John Adamses, and even that beer-loving patriot Sam Adams himself. They did more than just complain. They dissented. They dissented against the king and let the government know that they was not going to tolerate the bullshit that they was being shoveled by the British government. They was even so fed up that they called together the other 12 colonies, including leaders like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, and declared America's independence from England and went to war over it. Bloodshed and death. You probably remember that feller Patrick Henry they taught you about in grade school saying, "Give me liberty or give me death." Now that's some mighty powerful dissent. And today, there's a bunch of self-righteous Southerners who think that they was the first to dissent against the government because they started a war, the so-called Civil War, with the government for, of all things, the right to own slaves. These Southern rebels like Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee was lightweights when compared to the Founding Fathers. They was just a bunch of self-proclaimed ideologues standing up to a newly formed government that was just getting its sea legs. Whereas the Founding Fathers like George Washington stood up to the British monarchy with an army and navy that had been established for hundreds of years, fighting off them Spaniards and French. Instead of calling the people from New England, quotes, liberals and socialists, I think that every American who considers themselves, quotes, a patriot, including Donald Trump, owes a debt of gratitude to those liberal anarchists from Boston who set this country on its course of independence. Here's my point. Just like the Founding Fathers who fought a bloody revolution to redress their grievances against the British government, the Confederates in their time had the same right to redress their grievances against the U.S. government. And in principle, because that thing went sideways right quick, the same went for those people who protested at the Capitol on January 6th. But that there's a topic for another day. After all said and done, complaining is as American as apple pie. So today, when a senator wants to speak their mind or question the government about an issue, no matter how big or small the issue is, or no matter if the government agrees or disagrees with the senator's opinion, or for that matter, anyone's opinion, it's their right to speak freely without being dragged out of the room, being thrown to the ground, and getting handcuffed by the police. If that were you, you wouldn't want to be treated that way for speaking your mind, would you? If we allow our U.S. government or our president to enact policies and practices that punish Americans for speaking their minds, then we's return to the days we used to be subject to the rule of a king, not the laws of the people. Do you really want that, mi amigos? As I say at the end of each of my weekly sermons, if you and me put our pretty little heads together, we may still be able to figure out how to get this here US of A back on track. Thank y'all for listening.
Rusty Stubblefield is an unemployed certified auto mechanic and deacon at the Church of Our Lady of Original Sin. And now it's time for a brief and upbeat musical interlude composed by Edude X, sung by the Reverend Rusty Stubblefield, and performed by the world-renowned Electric Love Orchestra. Stay tuned and we'll be right back with this week's Conflated Conspiracy Theories.
It's now a crime to say what you think. Say your goodbyes to freedom of speech. Watch what you say, don't you speak. Watch what you think, don't you think. Watch what you say, don't you speak. Watch what you think, don't you think. Yeah.
Thank you, Rusty, Edude, and the Electric Love Orchestra for sharing that splendid rendition of Freedom of Speech, available online at Bearberry Path Music. In our next segment of the podcast, we'll be sharing various homegrown conspiracy theories that have been developed by our staff of creative writers and novice journalists who believe first and foremost that at the Conflation Station, anything is possible. We invite you, our listeners, to share your own homegrown conspiracy theories by sending an email to bearberrypathmusic, one word, @gmail.com. That's bearberrypathmusic, one word, @gmail.com, and place the words conspiracy theory in the subject line. Today, we will be turning our attention to conflated conspiracy theories that focus on war and the politics of cell phones. Our lead story focuses on the war between Israel and Iran. Over the past weekend, and as recently as this broadcast, tensions between Israel and Iran have escalated to the point of an all-out war. Israel seeking regime change in Iran by decapitating its top military officials and nuclear weapons scientists, and Iran retaliating by launching missile strikes on Israel's civilian population, its infrastructure, and its military assets. While the root causes of the Israeli-Iran conflict are deep, the current dispute focuses on Iran's nuclear enrichment program in its efforts to develop military-grade nuclear weapons. While disavowing U.S. involvement in the Israeli-Iran war, the Trump administration has been linked to supporting Israel, its closest ally in the Middle East. Because of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, negotiations between the United States and Iran to reach a non-proliferation agreement have reached a standstill. In a statement released by President Trump today, he said, quote, "I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Thousands of bombs are being dropped every day. It's a complete waste of time, money, and manpower. Why don't we just help Iran out and give them the nukes they need so we can bring an end to this crap in the Middle East once and for all?" Accordingly, in a 180-degree reversal of policy, the Trump administration is now prepared to come to the bargaining table with an offer to give Iran the tactical nuclear weapons it needs to achieve mutually assured destruction of both Israel and Iran as soon as possible. Trump said, quote, "I am against war. By giving Iran nukes, it will bring an end to needless human suffering, death, and destruction." Top Trump advisors pointed out that his now current position on the Iran-Israeli conflict is in complete alignment with his open-door policy towards the U.S.'s former adversary, Syria. Under the Trump administration's plan, U.S. defense contractors would immediately begin to build missile silos in Iran, due for completion in the winter of 2026. Trump said, quote, "We'll do the same thing we did when we built the wall in Mexico. Mexico paid for it, and Iran will pay for the nukes," end quote. In addition to building ICBM silos, the Department of Defense will begin shipments of short-range tactical nuclear missiles and missile deployment systems to Iran immediately. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said, quote, "We've got to level the playing field in the Middle East. Heck, if we give nukes to Iran, we might as well give them to the Saudis, the Yemenis, Oman, and Qatar. The worst thing that can happen is we'll wind up with one big nuclear standoff," end quote. Trump also highlighted the additional financial benefits that would accrue to the U.S. should a nuclear arms deal be reached. Trump said that, under his plan, the nukes going to Iran would be exempt from tariffs, offset the trade deficit, and could be paid for in cryptocurrency. When terms for the deal were announced, Trump said he received calls from over 200 other nations and principalities asking if they could get the same deal as Iran. Trump said, quote, "If everybody had nukes, the world would be a much safer place," end quote. In a related story, Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, said that his company was in the process of developing pocket-sized nukes for personal use. And now, it's time to take another break and listen to an original composition by E. Dude X entitled "End of Civilization Blues," sung by the Reverend Rusty Stubblefield and performed by the inimitable Electric Love Orchestra. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with another conflated conspiracy theory.
Dropping bombs and killing people. Doesn't matter time or place.
Yeah.
Dropping bombs and killing people. Civilization laid to waste.
Yeah.
dropping bombs and killing people. It's time to end the human race. Killing people. Killing people. Kill those people.
Thank you, boys and girls, and remember the Electric Love Orchestra's complete catalog is available online at Bearberry Path Music. Our next story focuses on the politics of cell phones. Yes, the Trump crime family is at it once again with yet another grift with a twist. The Trump brothers, Eric and Don Jr., youngest son Barron Von Trump was excluded from the deal, have launched a new cell phone carrier service called Trump Mobile, of course not to be confused with its competitor T-Mobile. According to President Trump, quote, "The boys have really outdone themselves this time," end quote. Eric and Don Jr. will be selling gold-colored smartphones, no surprise here, made in America by migrants at a retail price of $499 each, along with all-inclusive flat-rate calling plans priced at $47.45 per month. Don Jr. said, quote, "Not only is the pricing one big, beautiful value, it also pays homage to our dad's 2 terms in office as America's 45th and 47th president. We originally were going to price the service at $45.47 per month, but at a price point of $47.45 per month, we could stick it to the consumers for an additional $2 per month. The flat rate plan includes free roadside assistance in over 100 countries, including Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and the entire South Pole. In addition, the plan includes free virtual telemedicine visits that give doctors the ability to write prescriptions for plan subscribers free of charge over the phone, no questions asked. Working in strict compliance with the FDA, Trump Mobile's team of board-certified physicians will be offering erectile dysfunction drugs such as Viagra and Cialis, but will not be approving any abortion-related drugs such as mifepristone or vaccinations, including those for COVID-19 and the measles. When asked for a comment on the free telemedicine services offered on the Trump Mobile platform, Secretary of Health and Human Services RFK Jr. said, quote, "You gotta give those Trump kids credit. I wish my daddy and uncles was that smart." Trump mobile phones will come with X, TikTok, and Truth Social apps pre-installed, and for an additional $19.46 per month, the dollar amount coinciding with Donald Trump's birth year, subscribers will be given unlimited access to all of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's top secret and classified group chats on the Signal app. Eric and Don Jr. are also offering readouts of private phone conversations between President Trump and other world leaders, such as Russia's President Putin and China's President Xi, to the first 10,000 subscribers to the Trump mobile platform. Standard text and messaging rates will apply. Subscribers to the Trump mobile platform will also be required to waive their rights to being wiretapped.
Well, we've reached our destination. We'll be back next week to pick you up for yet another journey to and from the Conflation Station.